Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Donkey Kong 64 Gloomy Galleon Grind. I really don't like this level, and it's the reason I skipped a day in my recording schedule every other day or so, because I really don't like this level. So, yeah, we got some tiny bananas we can collect around here. That Spike guy, he's kind of like the McKenna Grumbling enemies in the last level, where you can't kill him with traditional attacks. You also can't kill him with oranges unless he's got his club stuck in the ground. He has two attacks. He can swipe his club sideways, like that, and he can also swing it straight up and down, like that. And while he's got his club stuck in the ground, if you hit him with an orange grenade, he'll die. But if he doesn't have it stuck in the ground, he'll just deflect it off his helmet and he won't die. The only surefire way to kill these guys is to use your charge attack. Which, right now, they're just annoying. They do take two pieces of melon off with each attack, so they can be somewhat dangerous, but they're not too threatening, I suppose. It is going to be important to know how to kill those guys later on in the game, because they're not, I wouldn't call them bosses, but they become like almost stage mini-bosses for certain areas, especially 2 levels from now, where they become almost as commonplace as Kremlings were in the first couple of areas. So go ahead, there's 2 grates, one to the left and one to the right, one for Diddy to open, the other for Donkey to open. I don't know why, just because they want us to jump through one more hoop in this level, I suppose. But we're going to go ahead and open both of them up, and I actually want to go to the lighthouse area first, because that's going to be the more important area for us to be able to access other places in this level. I'll show you why in a minute. Go ahead and hit these. That goes ahead and opens up that. Now you see that there's the lighthouse right in the middle, but just like the other area, the water level is too low for us to be able to get up on that platform. Well, there is something we can do about that, but for right now, I want to explain the swimming mechanics in this game for you. Number 1, Donkey Kong and his fellow Kongs can breathe underwater for as long as they want. You don't have to worry about oxygen bar, thank God. Number 2, just the control stick is to move around. Press B while you're on the surface to swim a little bit faster. Press Z to dive, and then B is your slow swim, and A is your fast swim. Simple. Just like Banjo-Kazooie, except for the fact that you don't have an oxygen bar, which is great. So this is Diddy's blueprint up here, as well as a chunky pad and a tiny balloon. Now, just like in that other area where Chunky could open up at the beginning of this level illustrates for the first time just how much of a mishmash this game can be when it comes to where items are. You know, you have to backtrack to areas 3 or 4 or 5 times with different Kongs just to be able to collect everything. Later levels, it doesn't get as grating because the levels are shaped so that Kongs have to go to every area anyway. But in this level, since it's obviously in just a star pattern with 3 branches, it gets really grating that you have to keep backtracking over the same ground just to find a tag barrel. So you can get in, swap to a Kong, get back out, and then go swim over to where you need to go to collect whatever item. But like I said, I'm going to be thorough, and I'm not going to forget this time about certain items in certain places, at least if I can help it. I'm going to get all the items that I can whenever I see them so that I don't have to backtrack. There are some things in this area for underwater for all of the Kongs, if I remember correctly, but mainly for Lanky, oddly enough, because you remember in Donkey Kong Country, the swordfish on guard? Well, he's in this game too, but sort of like Rambi, only one Kong is ever able to change into him, and that's Lanky. I don't know why. I guess they just wanted Lanky to have a gimmick, but, you know, whatever. With Tiny, you could just go ahead and get into the barrel, shrink and go in here, and see a mermaid. She's crying without closing her eyes or opening her mouth. Limited character sprites for the N64. Tiny has a thing about helping damsels in distress in this game. Can you believe it, Tiny? The reptiles have stolen my precious pearls and locked them inside a giant treasure chest. I know you're really busy, but please try and get them back. Well, at least she understands that we're busy, and she's not, like, demanding that we get them back so that we can progress in the level or anything. It's possible that we completely skipped this area and beat the game without it. She's aware of that. I guess you could call that a genre savvy to some degree, but, you know, still. We're going to want to find the, you know, sort of like a Banjo-Kazooie side quest. We're going to want to find her pearls so that we can get them back to her, and then we'll be able to get a golden banana from her. See, that's the thing that this game doesn't really have a lot of compared to Banjo-Kazooie, is these little NPCs that will give us collectibles for helping them out. This game only has a handful of them, and almost all of them Tiny interacts with. And almost all of them are also female. I don't really know why that is. I mean, there are a few animals that, so this one, Ungard, he swims differently than the Kongs do. The control stick is basically to aim him, and then A is to accelerate. He handles kind of like a car or like a submarine. Yeah, you just hold down A to swim, and then you press B to do this little, let me see if I can show it off. This little move here, it's basically him jumping forward like he did in Donkey Kong Country. It kind of looks bad in this game, but that's basically his attack, and that will allow him to smash through these treasure chests, which obviously we can't punch with Chunky because we're underwater. You know, we're gonna want to smash them all, but we can't collect anything because we're not lanky still. And also, Ungard, just like Rambi, he can't be hurt and he can kill. He's the only way in this game to actually kill underwater enemies, aside from like tossing a grenade in and hoping that it actually hits something. But yeah, if there's one thing that I appreciate in the water mechanics in this game above Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie is the fact that you don't have an oxygen bar. In those games, you know, as the swimming controls were just about the same as this, and they really, really, really weren't. And that you know, it's frustrating when a game expects you to do so much underwater, and yet they purposely limit the time that you can spend underwater. You know, that's one of the things that really turned me off from Donkey Kong, not Donkey Kong Country, from Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie when I played them initially, after playing this game for years, was the fact that all of a sudden I couldn't spend as much time underwater as I needed to collect everything. You know, I had to either find some air bubbles or just swim out. Which I realize that this game is more the exception than the rule in that respect. Most games have oxygen bars underwater, unless the protagonist has a reason to be able to breathe underwater, like in Majora's Mask. But you know, it's kind of jarring to go from a gaming system that, well, the game engine in this game is almost identical to the one that's used in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and the swimming is almost identical, and yet at the same time it's so very different because in this game the swimming is very, very slow paced. You can literally swim for as long as you want, and you can, unless you have a timer like for a puzzle or something, you can take as much time as you need to line up your swimming, make sure you grab everything. You know, in Banjo-Kazooie, you can't do that. You have to be constantly looking for the next air source, or be within swimming distance of the surface. Otherwise, you're going to drown. Okay, so we've collected almost everything here on the sea floor. I think there might be. Here, let me check. There's that pit over there that I know that there's something at the bottom of, but I can't remember what Kong it's for. Go and check. I think it's just a portal for Trough and Scoff, but I don't remember if that's true or not. Some banana coins for Chunky. Whatever. Now see, this seems like a perfectly logical place to hide some actual bananas, but nope. Alas, alas. So I'm going to go ahead and swim back up to the tag barrel and switch to Lanky and switch back to Unguard, because there's actually something important that Unguard has to do in this area. Well, two things that I didn't do when I was him initially, when I was just smashing these treasure chests. Oh, I missed these somehow. See, that's the thing. Especially with the Unguard sections of this game, it's really, really easy to smash a chest and unlock some items and then completely forget that you smashed that chest and have to go back and find it. Okay, so there's an Unguard door over here that I don't believe holds too much of importance, but it is useful because there's a Trough and Scoff portal in here, as well as some bananas for Donkey, which are really easy to miss because you never have to really go in here. And this is the other thing that I was saying. There's actually two switches here on the central spire of this level. I suppose that's what you call it. One that shows an up arrow, one that shows a down arrow. You want to swim into the one that shows an up arrow and use your attack. Now, I honestly don't know why this works. There's no explanation for it, but just hitting that up arrow is enough to make the water level in the entire level rise. So that cave back at the beginning where Chunky could go, the water level's up to the platforms now. And also, that up here, we can obviously get up to the lighthouse, so we can get... But that little alcove cave where we were before with the blueprints and stuff, that's flooded. So we wouldn't actually be able to collect anything that was in there because we wouldn't be able to stand on it. So we're going to want to go and switch that back at some point so we can play the Chunky's musical pad and figure out what was on there. So there's two banana warps here on the lighthouse island, as well as a Donkey Kong switch. And I believe there's also a banana balloon farm flying around up here, which we're also going to want to pop. I can't remember. This door isn't timed, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop this banana balloon, and then we'll go and grab those bananas from the Unguard alcove after we've finished the lighthouse area. Because this is actually like a mini... I wouldn't call it a dungeon, but like a section of the level all its own, with enemies that you don't see anywhere else in the level. I.e. these guys. Obviously, you see them a lot in other parts of the game, but this is the only part of this level that you see them, if I remember correctly. And they die and respawn immediately, so there's almost no use in killing them. But there's a multi-coin back here. Same 5 coins for every Kong as usual. This guy over. And then there's a ladder right here where we entered. You can go ahead and climb up. And we've got to play, all of a sudden, we're in Womp's Fortress from Mario 64. Now, these platforms, this may look easy, and in some ways it is, but these platforms are actually somewhat awkward, because, number one, your camera angle is stuck at a side-scrolling part, but you can still move in 3 dimensions. Also, if you just jump, you are just low enough so that you might not make the platform, and that means that you might also be too low to... well, you can't grab the edge of the platforms, that's what I mean to say. For some reason, Donkey's fingers just slide right through the wire grating. So you want to take your time. You don't want to get up to the very last part of this and then fall. That's not fun. You know, the platforms aren't regularly timed. They're all different. They all move on different time schedules. So if you take your time, wait for them to come around, they'll change. Okay, so we get up to the top here. There's a switch as well as some more bananas. We go ahead and yank the switch. This is going to become a theme in these levels for Donkey to have to go into a level and do something before any of the other Kongs are actually able to do it. Because if I remember the way correctly, this game can actually be played that you can theoretically finish almost everything in a level with one Kong, and then just move on to the second one. And, you know, instead of doing it slapdash like I am, you know, with just grabbing stuff as I see it, you can finish the game. You can finish the game by doing one Kong at a time each level. You know, just finish one Kong in a level, then go on to the second Kong in a level, third Kong in the level, etc. I know this is one level where you can do that, because you can, except for hitting those switches at the beginning, you can actually finish the entire level with Donkey before you have to do anywhere else's. I can't remember if there's 2 banana balloons in this area or just 1. I want to make sure to check. Move. Just 1. Okay. So you might think, well, you're making decent progress in this level already. It doesn't seem too bad. You've already got almost half the bananas in the level for Lanky and for Donkey. You know, why are you so, why so serious? Well, that's the problem. This level, like I said, it's very uneven. It starts out very briskly paced. You can collect almost everything in the level to a point very easily within less than an hour. But then, after that, all of a sudden, the level decides, you know what? You've had it too easy. Go ahead and take it back a couple notches. We're gonna slow down. We're gonna slow down the pace of the level like by half, because then you have to keep backtracking to several different areas with different Kongs over and over again, just to get single golden bananas for each one, with no other collectibles. Everything becomes really spaced out and clustered. It's spaced out between single Kongs, but also really well, no, I'm not making much sense, am I? I mean, it's each Kong's items are spaced out within each one, but they're also clustered together, so that you have to backtrack from each area with different Kongs. So like you saw here, we had that little cove where we had to backtrack with 3 different Kongs just to be able to collect everything, and it wasn't even much worth of anything. There was no gold bananas. There was just 1 blueprint, and there was just a few bananas for a couple of other Kongs. That's not a whole lot, and it was a lot of work just to be able to get the few things that were there. Now, this pirate ship that came when we turn on the lighthouse, it doesn't look like it due to the bad frame rate, but you can actually jump to it with, I believe you can get here with Chunky and with Diddy. And you're going to want to take Chunky up here on the bow of the ship. Excuse me, sorry for my nautical terms. And then go ahead and fall inside. Now, this is actually one of my favorite areas of this level, just because it plays like you're inside of a ship, and yet at the same time it doesn't, because it's so weird. You just go ahead and knock down that grating, grab some bananas, some banana coins up here. See, everything's tipping back and forth. I still don't know exactly how they rendered it, because it's not just the camera that's shifting. The level is literally tipping back and forth. Thankfully, it doesn't affect you because you don't actually have an internal gravity. You actually have to kind of hit Chunky's faces with your priming punches here, but the hitboxes are so long that you can just keep throwing haymakers and hope that you hit it. Go ahead and grab it. And now this is where this gets interesting, because now that Chunky spent so much time on this ship, all of a sudden he's gotten seasick. So your controls are actually mixed up. They're not reversed, not strictly. And they actually keep moving as you go. You have to be constantly correcting Chunky's course. Otherwise, you're going to end up walking in the wrong direction. See, I have my control stick pointed to the bottom left now, just to move to this corner, but a second ago I was able to put it down the bottom right to be able to move the same direction. It constantly mixes up. But, yep, see, whoa, there you go, Chunky. Alright, so that's Chunky's adventure on the pirate ship, and it just plops you out here on the, on here. And then there's a couple of other things we want to do in this area before we go on to the main area out into the other part. Because this isn't even a third of this level. We still have the main chunk of this level to finish. But we've got 2 things we want to do. You saw that Donkey Kong pad up there? We want to do something with that. We want to do that before we do Diddy's things. Diddy's got some stuff, you probably saw it up at the top of the lighthouse when the cinematic played. We want to go and do that next, but we want to do this first. Come on, Donkey, get up there. Okay. Donkey Pad. Barrel Blast. Barrel Banana Blast. Okay, so this is actually the first Barrel Blast that is a full-on maze. It is very possible to get lost and miss items in this part, because there are multiple paths that you can go, and only one of them leads to the end. See? They constantly loop back on each other, and if you don't take the right barrel, then you're gonna end up back at the start, or flying off in a dead end. Okay, now this is the part where it gets a little tricky. You rotate around, and there are some banana coins floating out here in front of certain barrels, but it's a very certain shot that you want to make for that part, because if you take the wrong one, then you're just going to end up looping back through some more automatic barrels and going back to that that rotating barrel again. But yeah, we've gotten all the valuable collectibles here. The banana coins, really, I don't care, so I'm just going to try to get through it. I'm trying to remember exactly what barrel you have to go to in that rotating part. I know it's not the first one, and I know it's not the one that's turned on its end. So, I think it's this third one here, but I'm not sure. Oh, there's some bananas here that I'm glad I didn't miss those. Yep, there it is. This DK star tells us that we finished. And that opens up that cage there, which lets the seal out, who has the exact same animation when he's swimming as he does when he's falling. And he kind of just goes underwater, and then he reappears in a different part of the level. Watch. Kind of just swims down, takes forever, goes to the ground, and then pops up literally on the opposite corner of the world. Literally on the opposite corner of the world. Not even anywhere close to where we were. And, okay, there are some other things we're going to want to do in this area. There's obviously a rocket barrel here, and there's some stuff for Diddy up at the very tippy top of the lighthouse. But we're going to be doing that in the next episode, okay? Because this has already gone on for too long. And I will see you guys all next time on Let's Play Donkey Kong 64 with some more of Gloomy Galleon Grind. See you guys then.